Hello, welcome Movie Trailer Trash. We're about to watch the trailer for Shazam.
Now, Charlie, that's the one, that's the remake of the one that Shaq was in?
No,
right?
no Shaq in this. It's a superhero.
But Shaq was in Shazam.
No, it's Kazam.
What?
That's right, baby. It's time for Movie Trailer Trash. Enjoy.
Hey, everybody, this is Movie Trailer Trash. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Shazam.
That's Charlie.
I'm Charlie Shazam.
And we are the co-hosts of this podcast, and it's been a little while.
Movie Trailer Trash. It has been a little while. We've been busy.
Yes, so great news. For those of you who are regular listeners, you probably already know this, but we just had our first ever trivia night.
And it was a massive success. There was at least 700 people there.
That's an exaggeration, but it was a success. We had a lot of people come out in Kansas City to the Screenland at Tapcade.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was awesome. And the next one's going to be even better, so we'll make sure to tell you guys about that when we schedule that up.
Even awesomer.
Well, I guess it is scheduled, but we'll give you guys more details later. So let's talk about Shazam. First of all, I've never seen Kazam.
I have.
So I wouldn't have known. I thought he was a superhero.
No, he's a wizard.
He's like a genie, right?
Yeah, he's a genie. He's not
Okay,
a wizard. He's
well,
a genie.
That's super.
Well, it's magical. I guess this is a wizard, though.
Yeah.
It's
basically
is
the
a
same
wizard.
movie.
It's no, there's no magical boombox.
I didn't know that was in that. But okay. So Zachary Levi is in this.
I think there's a magical boombox.
Let's say a little bit about Shazam. So for those of you who don't know anything about it, Charlie has filled me in.
Yeah. And my knowledge on it is
limited at best. But
at best.
Charlie is the comic book person in our family. So he has told me that basically Shazam, it started off as a character, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it started off as a character named Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it was named that is because Marvel is just a word. And this was before, Marvel Comics.
I think it may have been before
was like,
Marvel
hey,
Comics
you
was
can't
a
do that.
company.
Yeah, it might have been. And
But
so regardless,
that's not-
at some point down the line, Marvel Comics was like, you can't do that because it's causing confusion. If you have a superhero with the name Marvel, and we're a whole company called Marvel about superheroes, it's confusing. So from that point on in the comic books, they still called the guy Captain Marvel, but they named the comic books Shazam.
Yeah, that was the lawsuit.
So, however, in this, I don't think they're going to call him that. He's just going to be Shazam.
I think that he's just going to be whatever his name is.
What was his name? I tried to hear it.
Billy Batson?
Okay. I
Maybe?
thought it was like Billy Batsy, and I'm like, that's ridiculous, but whatever.
Billy Batson.
So,
by the way, the wizard
yeah,
is the guy that was in the first Guardians movie that catches him right at the very beginning when he's holding the orb.
Nope.
And he's like,
no memory.
Star-Lord.
Oh, okay.
He's that guy.
There's two guys.
So he's another person who is in both the Marvel universe and the DC universe.
I mean, whatever. He's probably not. I don't think he's going to be a huge role in this. But okay. So Zachary Levi's the main character in this. He plays Shazam. For those of you who don't know anything else about the comic, it's a kid, like a teenage kid, who is given powers from this wizard, it looks like.
Yep.
And basically, anytime he says Shazam,
Shazam!
boom, he turns into a grown man that looks like Zachary Levi and happens to have a lot of muscles. So many so that his suit looks like it's just padded.
Yeah, and it's
it's kind of hilarious.
That's kind of the whole thing with this movie, is that it's silly, but it's good silly. It's meant to be silly.
I mean, that's the whole thing we think about this movie. And I think when we first saw the photos, because they came out with photos of Zachary Levi in the suit first, I was like, oh my God.
Right.
This is going to be bad because it's ridiculous. Like, and the thing that's interesting is you were saying you saw a photo of him and he actually did bulk up for this.
Right.
And it's hilarious because then they put all these ridiculous puffy
they
shoulders
put
on him.
big shoulders in him. And I think they're doing
so
it
it's like,
because
why make
it's
him
supposed
buff
to be
up?
like,
like the way a kid envisions a superhero?
Right, kind of. Yeah, it's supposed to be a cartoon version of a superhero, basically.
But it's funny because I'm like, why did they have him even bulk up? I mean, I guess he had to do a lot of stunts and stuff probably, but I'm like, they just put fake muscles over him.
Right.
But
and it's not like he's going to be around not in the suit.
Exactly. I would assume not. I think that the body and the suit go together.
Right.
But anyway, so here's the thing about Zachary Levi, for those of you who don't know, is he's actually a really good actor.
Hey, Zachary Levi, also in the Marvel universe.
You're right. Oh my gosh, he's in Thor.
He's balder.
But here's the thing. I was a huge fan of Chuck. And I remember when it came
I
out,
like Chuck
I
too.
kind of thought the same thing I thought about this.
I like the first 2 seasons of Chuck.
I kind of thought the same thing I thought about this. I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks so cheesy. How dumb. Like, I literally like rolled my eyes at it. Then my mom was watching it one day. And I was like, oh, whatever. I got nothing better to do. And I was like, this is awesome. So the thing is, sometimes cheesy and dumb can be fun if the people in it are having fun. You know?
Right, yeah.
Like, it kind of reminds me also of the movie the show The Tick, the remake they just came out with, where it's just ridiculous. Now, we saw the first one and then we saw the second one and I wasn't really into it, but the concept was funny. Like, they take this ridiculous, it's kind of like they're not shying away from the fact that superhero stuff is silly. Like, it's so silly.
Yeah.
But we take it very seriously in most of our movies now. So I think it's kind of fun that this one is like a kid and he's acting like a kid.
A couple things about this movie. First of all, they don't really give you any of the story in it. They just show you him getting his superpowers, and you see that Mark Strong is going to be the bad guy, which is cool because I love Mark Strong. He's awesome. But other than that,
they also show the kid from It, who's going to be his foster brother.
He's his friend, yeah. And so there is a similarity, I feel, in this movie to Marvel's Iron Man.
Yeah, you've said this to me.
So it's this origin story where this terrible stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And it's overshadowed by silliness and comedy.
Sure.
But the reasons for doing everything are still very serious and very sad and depressing. I think that probably his parents die, or maybe he's just been moved around a whole bunch.
Yeah, well, they say at the beginning of the trailer that he's ran away from foster homes in 6 different counties, which I don't know why they're moving him from county to county. That's kind of odd.
Well, we don't have to get into the semantics of foster care,
but nonetheless, he's ran away a lot. So, yeah, I mean, if it's just been 6 different homes, I could see that being him being a teenager and
maybe
running away.
He's supposed to be like a troubled kid, but then it turns out he has a heart of gold, and so that's why he's given the powers and whatever. And that's kind of what happens with Tony Stark as well.
Yeah.
Is he?
Except he goes through a life-threatening situation. This kid it looks like this kid just stands up for a kid against bullies one time. I mean, the trailer makes it look like he was like, hey, don't be a bully. And then the next thing you know, this guy's like, you get my powers now. Whatever. I mean, I guess he saw something in him.
And so there's that part of it. And then there's also the part of it that this is not a very popular character in general. Like if you took a random
most
poll,
people don't even know about it.
They don't even know that he exists.
Which is why we started with an explanation.
And so that also is very similar to what Marvel did when they first started, which was they took a bunch of their lesser known properties that they didn't really want even. They were just, let's make a movie out of this because this is what we have.
Yeah.
All of the popular stuff. So Spider-Man, X-Men,
Fantastic Four.
Those were all sold and sent away because
studios.
those were the money makers.
Which is hilarious because looking back now, well, Spider-Man's okay, but it's not compared to the Marvel movies. You know what I mean? Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe changed movies forever, and they started with the less popular ones that now these characters are probably more popular than the originals.
And so to me, this trailer feels like a starting point in a universe instead of the Zack Snyder mess that has been happening beforehand. And it feels even though Wonder Woman is a pretty good movie, that one doesn't really feel like the start of a universe. That just feels like a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
A superhero movie. Yeah. And so this one really kind of feels like that.
But the reason that one can't feel like that is because they shoved her into Batman v Superman first. They screwed it up.
But also she's very famous as well. The Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman are the 3 most famous superheroes in the world, and they always will be.
Well, I will say this though. So X-Men, when I was a kid, X-Men was huge. I think, like you said, it's always been a super popular one, and we would always play X-Men. I guarantee you kids today are 1,000 times more likely to play the Avengers than X-Men.
Oh yeah.
Like X-Men has had some movies, but they haven't been very successful in recent years.
We need an awesome Hawkeye game.
And all I'm saying is, you've got the Hulk, you've got Thor, you've got Iron Man, Black Widow, you've got superheroes.
Thor and Iron Man are 2 of the...
Captain America.
Yeah, well, Captain America has always been pretty popular. But
right.
Thor and Iron Man are 2 of the most popular heroes right now.
I've never been into comic books, so I wouldn't have known that. Like, you told me that, and I was like, what? I thought everyone always loved Iron Man. But that's because Iron Man came out when I was in like high school, and so I've just been like, yeah, everyone loves Iron Man.
Comic book Iron Man, pretty much before Robert Downey Jr. started playing him, is
boring.
Very boring.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he
I've
seen
no
that, personality
and like
at all.
they just totally base him off of Robert Downey Jr. But
yeah.
Okay, so more about Shazam. I like your theories. I get what you're saying, but one of the problems I saw was we looked through all of the A through Z, all of the DC superhero characters, and they've had so many crappy movies that they've used all of them. Like so many of them in Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman. So many of the extras have been in stuff.
The ones that we were looking through are all ones that have had their own issues of stuff.
Sure.
So like there's probably a lot of other characters that they
maybe.
can use that, whatever.
But this is kind of unique, though. I can't imagine this guy, Shazam, this kid, teaming up with people, because at least right now he's just a kid.
Right.
And that's kind of part of it. So it's interesting. Like, I wonder if it continues to work as he gets older.
A lot of people online really are begging for a small, tiny little Henry Cavill superhero or Superman cameo in this movie. And he meets him and he's like, oh, he's like really like starstruck and whatever.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. So that's fun.
But yeah, so
although I hope he doesn't meet up with Batman because he'll try and kill him.
So anyway, Zachary Levi, that's Charlie's commentary there on DC. We're not huge DC fans right now just because we're not huge DCEU or DC, what do they call it?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
DCEU fans.
Yeah, I love Batman. I'm wearing a Batman shirt right now.
Yeah, obviously.
It's the 60s Batman
I like
shirt.
Superman. Charlie's not a big fan, but
Which
everyone
60s
loves
Batman,
Wonder Woman.
Best Batman. Adam West is the best Batman.
Sure. And anyway, one thing I noticed was that Zachary Levi, the kid that they got to play him, because I bet they started with Zachary Levi and then auditioned kids. It's great. Like, before they ever show Zachary Levi in this trailer, that kid's facial expressions and the way he says things, I can tell. I'm like, oh yeah, that does look like Zachary Levi. He did a good job. And when Zachary Levi is playing the kid, it's so funny.
And also the kid from It looks really good as well.
Yeah. Well, he was great in It. And so what's interesting is Charlie and I just saw It, the movie. And I'm terrified of scary movies. So he kind of had to, convince me. But I like them if they're really, really good. And this was really, really good.
Yeah.
But mostly because the kid actors were awesome. And so that's fun. He was really funny in that. So he'll be funny in this, I'm sure. And
he's different in this, which is good.
Yeah. I
wouldn't have ever character.
Recognized that it was the same person.
Right.
Because he looks different.
Which is cool. That's happening with kid actors, is that they actually get to play different people.
Yeah, it's
because
great.
most of it used to be, you just played the same person over and over again when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So like in It, Finn Wolfhard is in It.
Yeah.
And that's the main kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah, and he's different in
it. And he's very different.
Yeah. There's a couple of times where there's like little things where I'm like, oh, that's kind of like his character. But yeah, he's different. He's totally different. But anyway, so I think they did a great job casting the kid. And a couple of my friends were saying that they thought it looked bad and cheesy, which I was like, no, you don't get it. It's supposed to be.
Right.
And also they were saying that one of my friends at work was saying that he didn't think Zachary Levi did a good job as a kid, that he didn't buy it. And I'm like, what?
Hey,
How?
what's up?
I'm
a superhero.
Awesome. It was so awesome. Everything he said. And here's the thing, though. That particular person has never seen the movie Big. And I'm betting that means he's never seen the movie 13 Going on 30. So what do you know about adults acting like kids?
The classic 13
You don't
Going
know.
on 30.
Those are the two movies, though. Like, what's another famous movie where a kid grows up real fast and still has the mind of a kid?
Grows up real fast.
Yeah.
And still has the mind of a kid.
What is another movie where an adult person plays like they have a child's brain? Exactly.
I don't know.
So anyway, I'm just saying those movies, and I think they're both good. I mean, obviously Big is a great movie, classic. Lots of people love it. I think a lot of people do like 13 Going on 30, especially people who were young when it came out. But it is good. And the thing is, it's funny. It's a really funny thing to see adults acting like teenagers. Because we can all remember what it was like to be a teenager. And when they say things, it's just slightly different. It's just a little different cadence, a little different like attitude that they have. And it's really funny when they're good at it. And I think he's great at it. So he has the one where he like tells the lady he's a superhero. He's like holding like Mountain Dew or something.
Yeah, he's drinking like an energy drink.
And he's like holding a bunch of snacks from the gas station. He's like,
which by the way,
what's up? I'm a superhero.
I am convinced that window being shattered costs more than whatever they had in the register to fix.
Yeah, but they'll have insurance to cover that.
Don't they have insurance to cover the cash register money?
I don't know. One time my friend who worked at a gas station got fired because she got robbed. And it's because you're only supposed to keep $50 in the cash register at all times, and the rest has to stay in the safe. And I think it has to do with how much insurance.
Well, there you go. If they have $50 in the cash register at that place, then the window definitely costs more.
Yeah, but I'm just saying insurance will cover that probably.
Maybe.
Look, it doesn't matter. Why are we arguing over
I'm
this?
just
Who
saying
cares?
that's a thing. Whatever.
The kid throws a guy through the windshield.
So two
or
things.
the window at the gas station.
I'll save one for later, but this one I'm going to bring up right now. The director of this movie is a man named David F. Sandberg, and he's only directed 2 other movies. One of them was Annabelle Creation, so is that like sequel to a sequel of a horror movie.
My.
And the other one is Lights Out, which is that horror movie where there's like some monster or something, and when you turn the lights off, it shows up, and when you turn the lights on, it disappears.
So just keep the lights on all the time.
And so those are the only 2 movies that he's ever done.
So that's not great.
The writer, Henry Gayden.
This is more important.
The only other movie that he's ever done is a movie called Earth to Echo.
Uh-oh.
Do you remember that one?
That's the one with the kids, though.
With the little robot that flies around? So, yes, it's kids.
I thought it looked bad, but I thought it looked okay for a kids' movie.
So that's concerning, but not really, because neither of them have a ton of experience, so you don't really know
it's
what
so
they're
hard
like.
because, somebody has to give you a chance. And I'm a writer.
Exactly.
And you can have never.
It's
possible that you've never written anything that got real big, but that doesn't mean you're not a good writer. It just means you haven't been given the opportunity yet, perhaps.
Right. And then maybe DC didn't really care about this one.
And so
very
they
much.
gave them
and so
more
they gave
freedom.
it to, someone they didn't necessarily know would be a big draw for audiences.
Yeah.
And so it looks different and it looks better, in my opinion. There's no shiny CGI going on of any kind. He's just wearing a suit with like a light
bulb
in it. Yeah.
My friends were complaining about that too, how it just looked like an LED light.
I love it.
It's funny.
It's great. Yeah. It like looks like someone like made it.
It's a low budget movie.
It looks like a cosplay of a generic superhero.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. I like it.
So what else does he do that's funny, kid? Like, one of my favorite things in the movie or in the trailer is when he's going by charging cell phones. So he has some sort of electricity running through the light, and it goes through his fingers. He's like,
"Your phone's charged. Your phone's charged."
Yeah, he's just like going down the mall, charging people's phones up. It's just really funny. He's having fun with it because he's a teenager who gets to be a superhero, and his buddy, his new foster brother, is super into superheroes.
And also, it's very kick-ass, I feel, to me, because he's not trying to be like secretive about it at all.
No.
He's just like walking through a crowded mall and no one cares because no one would really care.
No, you just really,
if you saw like some superhero, like some person dressed in a superhero costume.
You might like laugh at him or something.
Yeah, you'd be like, that's weird, but that's it.
But it is funny too because they do make a point to show that he doesn't really care about that stuff. Like the kid's asking him what superpower he would want if he had one and whatever, and he was like, everybody says to fly, and he's like, maybe they just want to fly away from this conversation. Like he doesn't.
Burn.
Yeah, he's a stupid teenage kid who thinks he's too cool for this stuff, and then he becomes a superhero and bonds with his brother, and probably kicks butt at some point. And I love that you don't really know what is going to happen. Why is there a bad guy? What's the story? I don't know.
Well,
we get to find out together.
I will say this. I know for a fact. And I think that they're still doing this. So not a fact.
All right. Charlie knows for a fact.
I am 78% sure that The Rock is making a movie with DC? Is going to be, he's going to play Black Adam.
Yeah, you've told me about this.
Which is the bad guy, the main bad guy of Shazam.
That's cool.
And so he has similar powers.
Isn't there a Black Adam in the Marvel universe as well?
No, there's an Adam Warlock.
Oh, that's who I was thinking of. Okay. I can't keep up with all the superheroes, you guys.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go off of.
Look, so one thing before we move on to the next section that I just want to say is a lot of people don't care about superheroes. And for those people, it's kind of a rough time right now because the best movies out almost every single year. The best movies out are superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are making the most money, so they're the ones they're spending the most money on.
Well, that's why the ones that are obscure are more enjoyable a lot of the times for people who don't like superheroes. So like I bet that more people enjoyed Black Panther than any of the other movies because
it was different.
It's different. And you don't really, it's more about like a king and a kingdom and stuff like that than it is about superheroes.
Well, and like I told somebody the other day who said they don't really like superhero movies that they should give Ant-Man a try because Ant-Man and Ant-Man 2, both of those I said are more like a romantic comedy than they are a superhero movie. They're still a superhero movie, but it's more about the friendships and relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
But this will definitely be, a kind of nerdy superhero movie, but at least it's unique. I say, if you hate superhero movies, you don't gotta hate them all.
I think that this is a good one to try out, though.
Yeah,
if you don't like superhero movies,
and if you like Zachary Levi at all, he's so funny. If you don't know, he's great, you guys. He's really funny.
And it's gonna be about these kids and
not only
bonding.
Is he in Chuck,
and
he's
all
also
that.
in Tangled, one of the best Disney movies ever created.
Wow.
Yeah, most people like Tangled.
Tangled's good.
It's pretty beloved.
I like Tangled.
Like you never got any backlash for Tangled. Nobody was like, "That's dumb. That was a bad movie." Everybody loved it.
Right.
Zachary Levi.
Well, let's move on to where, when, and how you're going to see it.
Let's do that.
Where, when, how are you going to see this movie? Where, when, how you going to see it? Going to see it in the movie theaters from Charlie Shazam Duber.
Oh, wow. For somebody who just said you didn't really know that much about the character, it's weird that you're choosing to make your middle name Shazam now.
No, that's from the Shaq movie.
What?
Did I say Shazam? I meant Charlie Kazam Duber.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Can you dig it?
Anyway.
That's from...
I'm guessing that's a reference.
The Warriors.
Oh, my goodness. I agree with Charlie Kazam Duber. Bethany Duber, will watch this in theater.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be great in theater. It's going to be really funny.
It's going to be so funny, guys.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to go to the theater, you're going to laugh your butt off, and you're going to feel really good afterwards. And there's probably going to be some really surprising badass moments because it looks kind of goofy. So when he does something really badass, it's going to surprise you, and it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I think this is the type of movie that you get the popcorn, you get the big drink, and you get one gummy candy or chocolate candy of choice.
Ooh.
So that's everything you need, and then you just sit with your friends and laugh, have a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's gonna be good. I really hope that it doesn't turn into a CGI mess like most superhero movies have a tendency to do.
And
it was
probably
noticeable in Wonder Woman because the rest of it was so good.
It's probably going to happen because it's DC.
And it might happen. We'll see. I don't think this one was given anywhere near the money that the other ones were.
So it might look even worse, though.
Maybe. But I do know that there's a decent amount, at least for what it looks like from the trailer, most of it is very practical.
Maybe it'll look even worse, but it'll be okay because of how it's all supposed to look cheesy.
Because like that suit they could have easily just decided to CGI the suit.
Yeah.
Instead of having to make probably hundreds of them for him to wear in every different take.
To get burned up and stuff,
right?
And scraped and
scrapped. And it looks so much better. It looks better by looking worse.
Yeah.
Because that's how things are sometimes. It's just like in video games. Sometimes when you stylize the game and make it a little bit and make it not as realistic, it looks better.
It's more fun. Well, here's the thing too. I think that we all get really caught up in the visual with movies, and it's understandable. You're putting all that money into it. We expect it to be good. But what we forget is that what really makes a great movie is the acting and the story. And if you have great story and great acting, those movies, Batman v Superman, would have been good if it wasn't boring and bad.
Would have been good if it wasn't boring. That's what they should put that on the poster.
Yeah, it would have been good if they had created an interesting story, but they didn't. It didn't matter if the CGI was over the top and dumb. That's why Wonder Woman was a great movie, even though the ending was like, oh, they didn't have to do that visually, but oh well, because it was still an awesome story and an interesting story and great relationships and character building.
But yeah, so like I compare Wonder Woman, like what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Where they're good.
Is that the original Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay, with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, I mean there's other ones before it, but they're real terrible.
Movies, though?
Yeah. There's some foreign ones.
Yeah, but this is like the first American Spider-Man.
And so there's that.
You compare it to that, why?
Because it feels more like its own thing.
Yeah.
And I compare this one more to, well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping that it'll be more like Iron Man. And I'm hoping that if it is really good and what we think it's going to be, could you imagine if they started their universe out with this?
Yeah, with this ridiculous kid.
And about how fun it would be.
He's kind of
and
like a Spider-Man type character, except in the body of a grown man.
because then, like, Superman could show up and be basically exactly the same as him, only mature. And then Batman could show up and be really brooding, but they could play it for a laugh instead of him actually just being depressing and whatever. And then they can have Wonder Woman show up and be Wonder Woman and all of that, and it would have worked a lot better to start from the bottom and move up instead of starting from the top and moving on to less and less interesting characters.
Well, like for instance, if Wonder Woman was to ever appear in a Shazam movie, he would probably stare at her with his jaw hanging open for like way too long.
Right.
And she'd just be talking to him like, it's no big deal, and he'd just be like, because she's gorgeous. Whereas, that wouldn't happen with a regular mature adult.
Mm-hmm. Well, depends on the adult.
I said mature.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of interesting things they could have done, but I was going to say, I think the perfect example of how story's more important than the CGI is The Flash, the show.
Yeah.
And probably even The Arrow and some of those other ones. Those shows are hugely popular.
Mm-hmm.
And we started watching it after hearing it was good. We finally were like, let's give it a try. The special effects are bad. They have a shark man in it that looks bad. They also have they have Grodd, who's a gorilla.
Grodd, yeah.
And I love the Grodd episodes. I don't care that the CGI looks bad because it's so badass. Like, Grodd is badass in those. I was surprised. They had a whole episode, and they're in a bad CGI'd Coliseum type place fighting a gorilla.
That one's real bad.
But the story, I'm like, oh my god, what's he gonna do? How's he gonna get out of this?
People always care more about the story and the people interacting and how good the writing is than they do about the action scenes, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
In a superhero movie, especially because superhero movies are meant to be really relatable and being, people being able to have horrible problems and being able to triumph
still
over
have
them.
Hope. It's
with
all about
superpowers.
Hope. Honestly, superheroes are all about hope. It shows the world as it is.
That's what the S on Superman's chest means in his alien
But think
world.
about this, though, for real.
Hope.
Like, a superhero movie shows the world as it is, right? The world as it actually is, which is terrible. The world's a terrible place. And then it gives you hope that doesn't exist in the real world. And that's why it's so fun. Hope does exist in the real world, people. I'm not that cynical. But what I'm saying is it gives you a type of hope that we wish we could see. This, shining light,
Yes, I agree. But before we get too crazy, let's move on to Rotten Tomatoes.
All right.
Rotten Tomatoes percentages.
All right, so Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's going to be good. And I think it's going to be at least Wonder Woman good. So I'm going to give it a 91%, and that's really high. But I believe in Zachary Levi.
That's insanely high.
The only other movie that I think Zachary Levi has been in is Tangled, and I believe it got in the 90s. So...
He was also in both Thor movies.
Yeah, shows you what's up.
He was also in Ragnarok for 2 seconds.
Aw.
He gets murdered pretty quickly.
But nonetheless, I think it'll be really high. I think it'll be really good because also nobody's expecting anything, and that's what's so wonderful about this is we have so much fandom going on right now that's ruining movies, and there's kind of a backlash against that. Stop loving something so much that no matter what they do, you'll hate it.
Right.
You're ruining it for yourself and for other people. Well, no one's going to expect anything going in, and then they're going to be blown away.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm saying that this movie is going to get either an 80, between 78 and 80, but I think that it will be great.
Okay. I thought you were going to do one of those, it'll either get an 80 or a 50.
No. I think that it'll get between 78 and 80%. But I think that it'll be by far the best DC movie. And
better than Wonder Woman?
Yeah, because it'll be funnier.
Not DCEU. Wonder Woman was funny.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot funnier than people give it credit for.
Yeah, I think people forget.
But this one will be
constant,
basically a comedy.
Yeah.
And so I think that
this one... So you personally will prefer it because you always prefer comedy to anything else.
Right. And it's also... I just think that the action might be really good with the way that he kind of has to figure out what he's doing.
Yeah, it's all the trial videos are
so
great.
So it's very, very Spider-Man-like. I always say that Spider-Man is one of my favorites because he doesn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of does whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that his fight sequences are so cool and interesting.
Well, plus he's using this web and he's trying to figure out how to utilize it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to fight people. He just knows he can see punches coming from a mile away, and so
Yeah.
he can move out of the way, but he doesn't really know what he's doing.
Well, and like with this one, clearly there's some sort of electric current running through him because he's charging phones. So like there might be some crazy, weird, like electrocuting people's brain type
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
You know?
That went a
Like-
little far. Electrocuting people's brains.
All he has to do, like if the guy's really strong, just put your hand near his head and fry it. You
Good
can.
Lord.
I'm just saying, he fried a cell phone. You can fry a brain. Everybody knows that. If you can fry a cell phone, you can fry a brain.
In some of the early X-Men comic books,
Yeah.
Professor X just like wipes the memory of one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like just goes into his brain and completely erases his mind.
So
and
that
it's
he's
so
a
he
clean slate.
yeah, he basically lobotomizes him.
It's just
And it's like the
um,
most evil thing that I could think of to do.
That's just like in Harry Potter when the bad guy who's been pretending to know what he's doing the whole time accidentally erases his own memory.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, oh, you're a great guy. And they're just like, try and make him a better person.
Yeah, just it was very Men in Black.
But yeah, so I'm just saying there could be, who knows what kind of weird fighting there might be. Maybe he can electrocute people the way that Emperor Palpatine electrocutes Luke.
Everyone.
Everyone. You know? That's my impression
Please,
of him.
don't kill me.
What?
That's what he does.
Who does that?
That's in is that in episode 2, I think? I think it's in Clone Wars when he throws Mace Windu out of the window.
All right.
Mace Windu.
Anyway, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I don't know about episode 1, 2, and 3. Come on.
Hey.
All right, we're getting off topic. Everybody, we think this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
And sorry we've been a little rusty today. We're back.
I feel rust free.
Well, yeah, but we've been long-winded.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
That's the opposite of rust.
I'm a little loquacious, you know?
Loquacious Jackson.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you're new to the podcast, please continue listening and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. You can learn more about us or get all of our episodes at mttpodcast.com. We also have some movie blogs and other news and things there. You can interact with us on Facebook, Movie Trailer Trash Podcast. And you can also interact with us on Twitter, MTT Podcast.
And remember, every month, last Thursday of every month, we're going to be doing movie trivia at Screenland at Tapcade in the Crossroads in Kansas City, Missouri.
Very specific. So if you're not there, sorry you're missing out. But
Then you're square.
no, but
Oh.
yeah, no, I mean like if you're not in Kansas City, sorry you're missing out. But
yeah.
just keep listening and we'll keep having fun with you guys.
Absolutely. And as always, you can follow our friends Entertainment Buffet at Entertain Buffet and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Shazam!